Welcome, folks, to another Momentum Monday. You are here with Shannon Rowe from TAP, and today we're talking about overcoming obstacles. And just a moment ago, we asked the participants who've already joined to open up the chat and to put a challenge, a problem, an obstacle into the chat that you're currently facing with your Healy business. So please go ahead and do that. And if you watch this in the recording, stop for a second and think about that before we start talking about the content, because it's going to be really helpful for you today. Now, before I pass it on to Shannon and let you guys get to business, as I'm going to just quickly remind you that we have a Spanish translation available for you today. So please feel free to take advantage of that if that will be helpful to you. We have the chat available. So why don't you very quickly let us know where you are dialing in from today or calling in from today. So we know where you're calling from. That would be great. And we also want to make sure that you guys are aware of the reactions button. So we need that feedback. Shannon needs that feedback. It's an obstacle for Shannon.
Yes, please.
If he doesn't get feedback during the session. So if Shannon says something that resonates with you, feel free to use the reactions button. Thank you. Oh, there we go. Find the reactions button on the bottom. Wonderful. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything super important here. Spanish translations, it's being recorded. The chat is available for you. I'll stop talking and I will pass it over to Shannon. I'll kind of try to watch the chat throughout as well, just in case something important happens that I need to let you know about, Shannon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jody. It is such a pleasure, as usual, to be here with my Healy family. Thank you for joining us today. Just a brief reminder of what Jody actually asked you at the beginning as you were joining. Some of you may just be joining now. But one of the things that we really wanted you to think about, so instead of doing the typical, how'd you show up 1 to 5, we changed it up today a little bit. And we want you to think about something that is sort of getting in your way, something that is maybe making you feel stuck, something that's frustrating you, you feel anxious over, you feel like it's an obstacle you can't get past. I want you to think about that, especially when it comes to sharing Healy. So however way you are doing that, whether you're building a team or whether you're just trying to share Healy in general, what is it that's getting in your way? Okay, because that's going to help you focus in on finding a solution in today's session. How's that sound? My name is Shannon Rowe. I will be your facilitator today. I'm so excited, like I said, to be here with the Healy family. And we are going to be talking about overcoming obstacles today. It is a very packed session. So pay attention, have your pen and paper ready. If you want to take a screenshot, go right ahead. Keep the reactions, keep coming. Show me some love while I'm chatting. It is so great to see that you're here, you're resonating, you're picking up what I'm laying down. And of course, you can always ask questions in the Q&A. We'll try to get to them, not necessarily in the session, but definitely something that we can address in later sessions. And Jody will stop me if it's something incredibly important that we don't want to miss, okay? All right, so let's get going here. All right, we're on our 12th of 15 webinars together. Just a quick reminder, if you have not seen all of these, you know what? Every topic that the TAP team and the Healy team have put together in a program for you have been really done with you in mind, the field in mind. And so there are some really great sessions for you to go through, preview, share with your team. So don't forget that, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about today dealing with obstacles. Like I said, it's going to be a very jam-packed session. This is going to be a bit high level, so I'm setting some expectations here, but there are going to be very practical tips for you to consider when you are facing an obstacle. We're going to talk about how to identify obstacles and how to effectively overcome them. There are different types of obstacles, though, so we're going to break them down a little bit for you, okay? And then we're going to talk about our mindset, because guess what? Our mindset has a lot to do with how we are able to effectively overcome. We're going to talk about what's an external obstacle and how we should approach external obstacles. And we're going to talk about what an internal obstacle is and how to effectively manage those, address them, find ways to get past them. All right, so let's get started before we run out of time. All right. So identifying obstacles. There are really two types of obstacles that we want to break down for you. Okay. One would be internal obstacles, and one would be external obstacles. So I'm going to ask you, for those of you in the chat, and you want to take a guess, what do you think the difference between an internal obstacle is and an external obstacle is? Can you recognize the two? What do they look like? What are they? What type of obstacle are they? I've opened my chat to see if we've got any guesses. Internal obstacles versus an external obstacle. Waiting to see if we've got some answers here. I will give you the answers, so don't worry. And don't be afraid to try. Any guesses out there? Fears. So, Cesar, do you think that that is internal or external? Internal mental obstacles, internal self-talk, rejection from partners. Yeah, these are internal. Exactly. What's an external? Okay, so seems like we got a good grasp on what an internal obstacle is. What's an external obstacle? We mentioned some at the very beginning. Some of you said there were some external obstacles in the way. People's finances, people's doubts, the economy, people, absolutely, technology. Okay, all right, so we are ahead of the game here, okay? So thank you so much. Fear to take risk, exactly, Claire. These are absolutely some of these things that get in the way. So the way that we identify obstacles and how we can recognize them as an internal obstacle is really something that might be stemming from your habits, your beliefs, your psychologies. External obstacles stem from pressures outside. So, what is happening outside? And I'll give you some examples in a few minutes. But what I do want to say is that both of them, individually or combined, can lead to feelings of feeling stuck. And it's not a lot of fun to feel stuck. So before we even dive into how to deal with them, what I want us to do is really get very, very clear on being able to identify what they are. Because once we identify them, and we give you some tips today, you will be able to find ways around them. Okay, so I hope that gives you some hope, especially if you came in with thinking about an obstacle in your mind. And I want you to be able to apply what we are giving you today and put this into action. All right. All right. So some common external obstacles in direct sales or network marketing, whatever word you like to use. When it comes to external, it can be negative reputation. People don't like direct sales. They don't like network marketing. They feel like they're lumping it all up into a pyramid scheme, which we all know isn't the case, but it's still an obstacle. Sometimes we have product shortages. Sometimes there might be a discontinuation. Sometimes there's compliance issues that really gets in the way of sharing, regulatory issues, a market saturation, consumer trends change, competition, inflation, which we are all experiencing on a very big level. So even if people, a couple of years ago could afford to buy things, some people are being a little bit more careful about how they spend. All right. So these are all external obstacles, and there are ways to deal with them, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Then there's internal obstacles. So fear fits in this one, self-sabotage, perfectionism. So we need to know all the things and how everything works before we get out there and share Healy with the world. Sometimes we can be defensive, so we're not actually answering and addressing fears and hesitations and objections. And so that can get in the way. Sometimes we have a lack of belief in ourselves, in our ability. Procrastination, we saw that one come up in the chat. Lack of confidence, we also saw that come up in the chats. Sometimes we feel like we don't have the skills. I'm not a salesperson. How on earth can I share my love for Healy if I don't know how to sell? And sometimes it's about a lack of purpose. So let's start with addressing our mindset, because guess what? Our mindset has a lot to do with whether or not we can address these obstacles and find a way past them. So that's why we're starting here, okay? So starting with our mindset, it all starts with our mindset. So thinking about obstacles, really, that's anything that gets in the way and hinders our progress. They can be small things like dealing with traffic on the way to a meeting, technology, internet not working, but they can be bigger things like, problems with discontinuations of products, perhaps, there's a postal strike. There can be so many things like fear or lack of confidence, procrastination. These are all things, and depending on the obstacle, encountering them can feel or cause, feelings of anxiety, stress, fear, frustration. And when this happens, it's incredibly important for us to acknowledge the very first thing that we need to do. Acknowledge that our feelings are valid. That's okay. All right. But not automatically assume that they're bad or negative. Now, that's a bit of a trick because sometimes when we feel frustrated that we can't get past a hurdle, that then in turn feels very negative to us. The important thing is to make sure that you don't get so caught up in the feelings of feeling stuck that you can't actually move forward. So what we have to do is we have to address our mindset first and foremost, because no matter what the size of an obstacle, there are ways to deal with it. And it all starts here in our mind, okay? Sometimes when people run into an obstacle, they can get so frustrated, so overwhelmed, feel anxious that they stop trying or sometimes give up completely. Have you ever had a goal where you felt like, I can't do this anymore? I don't know where to go. I don't know how to get over it. I'm just going to quit. Some of us have done that. Most of us have done that at some point in our lives. Now, some others who might have a little more resilience that has been built up over the years throughout our life and business experiences, we may see obstacles as a puzzle to solve. It's a challenge. We're like all in, okay, I'm gonna get around this obstacle because that's gonna give me the ability to grow and to learn. And having this mindset obviously can really help you to start getting over those feelings of feeling overwhelmed. And it does make it easier to face the issue head on. The way that you view obstacles has a huge impact on how and if you'll overcome them. The first thing that I want to address is perspective. So imagine you are walking on a trail and you're hiking, and all of a sudden, where this massive big boulder shows up in your path. Now, oftentimes, if a big boulder jumps in front of us and it rolls down the hill and stops right at our feet, what happens? All we can see is the boulder. That's problematic because a boulder can feel so insurmountable that we don't see a way forward. We've got to take a few steps back, folks, in order to see the edges and see what's on what side, either side, right? Is there a way around it? Maybe there's a way under it. Maybe there's a way over it. Maybe there's even a way through it. So the very first thing we have to think about is stepping away and getting some perspective. And then we have to think about our mindset. Now, some of you may be familiar with a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And we've even talked about this a little bit in some previous discussions. But this is particularly important for us to address because this has a lot to do with whether or not we're going to be able to overcome them. Okay. So I'd like us to take a moment, get familiar with some of Carol Dweck's teachings. Okay. So Carol Dweck is a PhD. She's one of the world's leading researchers in belief and motivation. Okay. So some of you said motivation was problematic. So this can really help us really understand who we are. So we have to reflect on who we are. So we'll get there in a second. But because it's important to understand and adopt our growth mindset to achieve a learner mindset, we have to become a little bit familiar with this. So a fixed mindset often has something to do with our belief in that, you know, our ability is innate. We're either born with it or we're not. Okay. And a growth mindset means, hey, if I have the desire, my potential is untapped. I can grow. I have unlimited potential. All I got to do is focus in on it, work hard, learn the things, and move forward. Now, one or the other isn't bad. However, when we have a fixed mindset, it can be a little bit more difficult for us to get past obstacles. So that's why we're going to address this right off the bat. Okay. Now, good news for you is even if you do find, after we've discussed this a little bit, that you do tend to have a fixed mindset, what's really beautiful is that you can learn to move your mindset from fixed to growth. All right. So sometimes the way it shows up, so if you want to recognize whether or not you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, sometimes you're like, I just need to look smart so that people believe me. Or you give up easily because it's too hard. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help. Sometimes you'll hide mistakes. You'll ignore feedback. And sometimes you can feel a little bit threatened by or really competitive over somebody else's success. A growth mindset often shows up in a real desire to learn. There's a humility about it of, I don't know it yet, but I can learn it. And so therefore, there's a persistence. There is a curiosity. There is a desire and a need to ask for help. And when you get that help, you learn from the mistakes you've made. And you understand that the more help you ask for, the more feedback that you solicit, the better you'll become. So you end up learning from those obstacles that get in your way. And you are inspired by other people's success. You don't feel those overwhelming feelings of jealousy or envious, or why can't they get, why can they get ahead when I can't get ahead? And it all has to do with our beliefs, our belief system. And belief systems aren't necessarily easy to change. However, the more you become aware of them, the easier it is to learn to put aside negative mindset and really focus in on a positive mindset. But that mindset and that belief can have a really big impact on how we show up in the world and how we share healing with others. So based on that, what I want us to do is I want us to think a little bit further into what growth might.
Hi, folks.
Or not you think you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. So growth mindset refers to, oh, I heard a voice. Okay, it's all good.
It's okay.
My
You
internet
know
is a little
what?
bit unstable, is it?
Yeah, you just got a little blip there. So maybe just rewind yourself by 15 seconds and continue. Oh, we might lose Shannon, folks. Oh no. Now, just to be on the safe side, to make sure I'm not by myself completely, if the rest of you are still in the room, would you please go into your reactions and give me the crying face? There we go. I think she's coming back. Hang on. Come on, crying face
Okay.
people. I told everyone if they're still in the room, if they could give me the crying, laughing face.
Awesome. Well, I can see it. I mean, it looks like my internet is going
Okay.
well now. Is it
Okay.
good?
Yes, I think you're okay now. Thanks, everybody,
Okay.
for your
All
patience.
right. Right. So this is an obstacle. Internet connections, something we can't control, right? Okay. So just going back, rewinding a couple of seconds back, what I wanted you to do was I want you to start reflecting on whether or not you truly have a growth mindset or whether or not you might tend to have a little bit more of a fixed mindset. So again, just a reminder that a growth mindset refers to the belief that intelligence and abilities are not fixed at birth, but you learn them. They can be developed. Um, you will most likely lean into challenges. You'll speak up. You'll ask questions. You'll be curious. You will take failure as an opportunity to learn. And generally, people with a growth mindset tend to find more success. A fixed mindset believes abilities are unchanging. So therefore become closed to new ideas because to them it's like, well, I can't change it. So why bother? Why have an open mind? And so failure means it can be really devastating to you because you think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So therefore I can't do healing. I can't share healing. It's not true. You can. So if you think about that, and we'll just continue forward, okay? I love what Carol Dweck says. Carol Dweck, she coined the term fixed mindset and growth mindset to describe the underlying beliefs that people have. In the fixed mindset, everything is about the outcome. If you fail, you're not the best. It's been wasted. In a growth mindset, it allows people to value what they're doing, regardless of the outcome. Because they're tackling problems, they're charting new courses, they're working on important issues. Maybe they haven't found the cure for cancer, but the search was deeply meaningful. Well, I want us to apply that to healing. So, have you tried and you've experienced some failure? And now you're thinking, I've just wasted all this time when I could have been doing something different? Or are you saying, you know what? That was tough. I fell flat on my face in that one. But I learned some really cool things. And so that means if I try again, I'm more likely to succeed because I've learned. Guess what, folks? I'm just going to share a little personal information here. I've been building a business we're nearing our 6th birthday. And believe you me, there have been many failures along the way. Most of them I will take full responsibility for. Directions we've gone in. And you know what? I've picked myself back up. I've learned from them. And because I've learned from those mistakes, I've been able to make better decisions in the future. That's what a growth mindset is. So again, just a reminder, someone with a fixed mindset tends to give up, often looks for approval, can tend to be more negative. I think the most important point about a fixed mindset is oftentimes because they don't believe in themselves, they have wasted potential. And that's the saddest thing on the planet for me. Because I believe that everyone has this unlimited or untapped potential. And so I really want to help people understand that they can learn from failure, that they can lean in. And someone with a growth mindset, they've often learned to be more resilient. They have learned to love. Maybe they didn't always love learning, but they have learned to love learning. They've learned to love the journey. They tend to be more positive, even when they failed. They get back up a little bit quicker. They brush off their shoulders, and they understand that potential is unlimited. Okay. So, what are some of the impacts of those behaviors? Well, let's take a look. Our mindset impacts our behaviors. So, on one side, what we may be seeing in a fixed mindset is we're trying to look smart at all costs because remember, if we don't look smart, we aren't smart, right? We don't want to be vulnerable. We aren't seeking input or sharing our knowledge. But someone with a growth mindset is looking for those opportunities to learn. They're seeking others' perspectives and they're sharing what they know and they're getting input on what they don't know. Back on the fixed side, they don't think that they can learn new things. They don't ask for help because of that. And they think that people who are achieving success, it's effortless for them, when in fact it's not. People with a growth mindset, they put a lot of effort in learning. They seek help. They try new things, even if it means failing. And they know that there's a great amount of effort that's required to reach their goals. Back on the fixed mindset, they sometimes can take things personally. Why? Not because they're overly sensitive. That's actually not true. It's because they think that they don't have what it takes to be successful. That's a belief system, folks. So they're defending themselves because they don't want to look like they can't be successful. And They want to be seen as a high achiever. People with a growth mindset seek personal and professional development. They invite and offer gracious feedback. And they celebrate those small wins because they know it takes many small wins to achieve great success. Fixed mindset, they can feel threatened by others because they may feel when they look at somebody else successful that they have it and I don't. They will compare themselves to others' journey. Their journeys to others. And they sometimes, not always, but sometimes, so that they will believe that they're smart, take shortcuts to find that success. But with a growth mindset, we'll be inspired by others' success because it means, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. They adopt better strategies because they look at others and go, oh, I could try that. I'm going to try that. I'm going to be a learner and I'm going to learn the new thing. And they tend to be a little bit more genuine and authentic because they're not afraid of failure. Again, this is not good or bad. This is about understanding that we have belief systems, and those belief systems don't just come from, one look at the world and then all of a sudden we're believing whether we can do it or we have the potential or we don't. It comes from our experiences, folks. It comes from all of the setbacks that we might have seen in the past. It comes from self-talk, but it also comes from external talk from other people. So if you've had people in your life that have had that negative mindset or had that negativity pushed onto you, that can wear us down a little bit. That can make us believe, well, if somebody so-and-so thinks that I don't have what it takes, then maybe I don't have what it takes. You can shift your mindset. And this will help you shift your behaviors. Okay. So what do we got to do? We got to become a learner. All right. So here's the thing. A learner is someone who's curious about different ideas and perspectives, explores how they can learn from others, and develops new skills to solve challenges. And a learner's mindset is sharing the belief that everyone can grow their ability, learn from mistakes and successes, and speak up openly in a safe environment. So what I would say is you will control whether or not you will become a learner. It means that you'll have to practice. You'll have to show up in a different way. You'll have to become curious. You'll have to solicit feedback from people, even if it hurts a little bit in the beginning, because you got to get used to it. Okay. So if you haven't been used to it before, it may be a little bit difficult. You may struggle because you will take it personally in the beginning. But you have to remind yourself that self-talk. You have to remind yourself that no, this is not a slam. This is not an offense. This is an area of growth. And if I actually put it into action, I can grow. I have what it takes. I can believe in myself. I can find the motivation to push through. And that learner's mindset is really then taking what we're learning from being a learner and putting it into action in our behaviors. So let me give you some steps on how to do that. Okay. I'm not going to just leave you hanging. There's one thing to say, yeah, just become a learner and then leave you there. No, I'm not going to do that to you today. Okay. What I am going to do is I'm going to give you some really simple steps. Accept whatever it is that you've come up with, whether you are like, oh, shoot, I might actually have a bit of a fixed mindset. Or maybe you go between the two. Sometimes you believe, sometimes you don't. Maybe it's a bit of a struggle. Now, some of you may have adopted a growth mindset, and that again has probably come from having a lot of positive people in your life, as well as a really good and healthy look at yourself. No matter where you are, no matter what has come your way, you can change the narrative starting now. But it has to be about accepting the truth. Okay, just like fixing anything, the first step is admitting that a change is needed. Then what we got to do is we got to figure out what needs changing. Maybe it's self-talk. Maybe it's removing those negative people in our lives, or at least distancing ourselves from them. Maybe not having them in our inner circle. Easier said than done in some cases, yes, especially if it's a partner, if it's a best friend, if it's family members. I get it. Well, you can control some of these things. You can have boundaries and put that up in place. When someone starts saying, no, you can't, you say, yes, I can. And if you're going to tell me I can't, then I'm going to just distance myself a little bit. I'm going to pull myself away a little bit. Okay. And then it might also be about the way you talk to yourself. So if you are someone who's like, I'll never be able to do that. I see Christy out there. Christy is killing it. I could never be like her. Really? Why? Why couldn't you be like her? Ask yourself tough questions. Look, if you have to get in the mirror and say, I am worth it, I am worthy, I can do this, I can learn new things, I can do hard things. Yeah, it might feel a little bit silly. Okay. But that self talk matters. And then you have to change. Okay. So now you got to do the work. Okay. So you start by identifying, you start figuring out, okay, where's that negative talk coming from? Whether it's deep down inside of us of a childhood riddled with hard things, childhood beliefs, or whether it's the circle that you're surrounding yourself with. Mix it up. Do the opposite of what that nagging voice tells you. You can't do it? Okay, you know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Be your own cheerleader. And if you have the opportunity, pull yourself some people real close to you who are those cheerleaders for you as well. And don't give up. Don't give up. This is not an easy thing to build this type of resilience, okay? Changing your mindset, it's not going to happen. It's not like, oh, yeah, you're going to attend Shannon's webinar and now all of a sudden you're going to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. No, I wish it was that easy. It's going to take practice. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take you doing things differently, okay? Because they're deeply ingrained beliefs. So changing your mindset is a gradual process rooted in deeply ingrained beliefs, learned for a long period of time. So you need to be patient and persistent. Is that fair? Can I hear an amen? Any claps? Any celebratory horns? No, nothing. All right. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right. So, okay. Again, this has been motivation up to this point. How about I give you some real tools to work with? Does that sound okay? Let's do it. Overcoming external obstacles. So we're going to break them up. Okay. So we're going to start with the external ones. Okay. And we're going to give you a tool. Feel free, if you'd like to take screenshots, to write it down, do what you need to do so that you can overcome. So when you came into the session, we asked you to identify an obstacle that you're facing, especially within your Healy business. Hopefully by now I've given you enough information for you to recognize whether it's internal or external. So if it was an external obstacle, this is what I want you to do. Here's some tap tips, we like to call them, all right? Don't pretend it's not happening. Deal with it. Head on. Don't catastrophize. I love this word because a lot of times we can be very dramatic, right? Instead of that big boulder standing in front of us, like I said in the beginning when I told the story of hiking up a hill, step back, get some perspective. The boulder's only so big. It does have edges. It's not insurmountable. Now, some boulders are bigger than others, granted, okay? But get the right perspective. Here's a big one. If you have a team, if you are someone who's joining us and you are building a team, this is really important, okay? Don't spread that negativity to your team. Although your feelings are valid, try not to make that your team's problem, okay? If you need to vent, talk to someone outside the issue. Maybe it's an upline. Maybe it's the tap team. Maybe it's your corporate team, your salespeople. Talk to somebody else about how to overcome that obstacle. But if you're talking to your team, what will happen is if they see that you're struggling, then they're going to think, oh gosh, if she's struggling or he's struggling, how am I going to get over it? Right? So vent to someone, but outside the issue. Don't get stuck in it. Get those creative, problem solving juices flowing. And then I want you to use the tap obstacle wheel. We love this wheel because it's very, very, very practical. Okay. I'm going to put my glasses on. I know that the font is a very bit small, but don't worry. We're going to blow it up for you in a second. Okay. We want to set this wheel in motion, all right? And these are the steps of overcoming an external obstacle. First and foremost, it's that step back from that boulder. Pause, get some perspective. Sit back, take a breath, get in the right headspace. Be aware of whether somebody else or you have created some drama. Try really hard to not think black and white. It can be or it can't be. No. It's all kinds of color, okay? Sometimes there's a way under, over, around, through. Remember, there's many ways to look at this boulder in front of you. Don't dwell on how it makes you feel. So don't dwell on those emotions, especially when they're negative, because this will prevent you from getting past that obstacle. So what's next? Now you want to calmly assess the situation. How does this affect me or my business? Will this impact a small group of people or a large group? Does it just impact me or does it impact my team? And will the impact be short or long? Okay. Now we're starting to assess. We're being analytical with our thinking. All right. The next thing is get out a pen and paper. Brainstorm solutions. Remember what I said about getting your creative juices flowing? What can I do to affect the outcome I want? What can I do to empower my team and help them keep their momentum? Is there anything I can do to plan for this in the future? Loving the hearts, by the way. Thanks, folks. And is there any way to prevent this from happening again? Consider those creative solutions. All right, next stop on the wheel. All right. Figure out what skills and tools you need. So what skills do I already have? What can help me deal with this obstacle? What skills don't I have, but that I need to help me navigate the obstacle? And are there any practical tools that might help me get over, under, around, or through? If you think about an obstacle and you're thinking about a real boulder, you might look for some rope so that you can climb over. Maybe you're looking for a pick to get under or a shovel to get under. Maybe you need to lean into your swimming skills because there happens to be a river on one side, but you know you can swim through it. Okay. There's lots of ways. Maybe you need a stick of dynamite to blow that sucker out of the way. Okay. Find the tools that will help you navigate the obstacle. Now it's time to create a plan. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Out of all the professionals, all the people that I've worked with over the last 2 decades, I'm going to tell you something. Pros don't wing it. They don't go, I'll see. I'll figure it out. Pros don't wing it. They plan for it. Ignoring it won't go away. Usually, I like this because there are specific times when sometimes it'll pass. Okay. But create a simple plan. What, when, and how. It will minimize the chance of forgetting something important and keep you in control. And the size of the plan will depend on the obstacle. Okay. So it's not a one size fits all. Generally, the greater the impact, the more the robust plan needs to be. Okay. And it should be tailored to your audience. So is this just for you? Is it just for your high level, leaders? Is it for your entire team? Is it for your customers? Is it for your prospects? Okay. All of that needs to be considered when you're creating your plan. Next stop on the wheel. Don't do it alone. Seek advice and support. Does your company have a suggested plan of how to approach obstacles? Does Healy tell you, okay, when we're dealing with this, has TAP given you an option? Has a really successful leader in a cross line dealt with this before? Figure out who are those people that can help you navigate it. Have you connected with your leaders or team? It's great to draw experience from others. Have you considered asking a mentor for advice and support? It can make a really big, significant difference to get help rather than trying to figure out it alone. Don't do it alone. Do what makes you feel in control and positive so that you can proceed, so that you can get over it. And if you need to take a rest because you've been picking at this thing for a little while, it's okay. Pause, get perspective, and start over again. And then finally visualize. focus on that desired outcome. Once you've completed all the steps in the wheel, it's really time to move your thinking past the obstacle and focus on moving your thinking about the future. Okay. Visualize the goal. Visualizing the goal will give you renewed energy and momentum. And it'll help you focus on what needs to take place. It'll give you the energy and the focus of being able to pick at it a little bit longer. Think about what will happen once you get past the obstacle. Try to focus on how that might make you feel. The more detailed your visualization, the more effective it will be. Now, it's not just me who says this. I love this from Sean Aker. I don't know if any of you have ever read The Happiness. What was it called? Jody, you might have to remind me. The Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker. You know what he says? He says, the more vivid your visualization, the more real it feels. And research shows that the more real it feels, the more likely it will be to impact your behavior. Isn't that interesting? All right. I'm going to give you some brainstorming exercises that can also help. Describe the obstacle, including the size and potential of length that it might be in your way. Write out possible solutions with advantages and disadvantages. And if disadvantages outweigh the advantages, you might want to explore the more advantageous options first. I'm getting stuck over my words today. I'm excited about this because I think that is something that can really help, especially when we're feeling frustrated and anxious and stuck. There's nothing worse than feeling stuck. Okay. Pro tip, brainstorm by yourself first. And the reason why we do this is it allows you to generate ideas without the influence of other people. And it'll also demonstrate leadership. All right. So we've given you some really good tips on how to deal with those external things. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to apply whatever the external thing is. You want to apply it to that wheel. Hopefully you took some pictures. Maybe I might even be able to send out a graphic so that you can see the wheel in motion, and we can get that over to Eva and get it out in both languages, okay, in Spanish and in English. That might be helpful. Now what I want us to do is I want us to shift over to internal obstacles for a moment, okay? So let's talk about internal. Now, internal obstacles can be a little bit more tricky. They come from inside. What's holding you back? Hey, if we knew all the answers in this space, nobody would be dealing with any internal obstacles, and we'd all just be thriving. But that's not real, is it? When we think about our path to success, when we think about our potential, what we wish pursuing our potential looked like is we're born knowing our life's purpose. We set really big life goals. We find the perfect business opportunity to reach our goals. We're highly intelligent. We're naturally gifted. We don't even need to study. Forget that. We don't have to practice. Never struggle. We never experience boulders, or we never experience obstacles or challenges. We're highly admired. We're major influencer, and we create a large, stable residual income and retire at 30. Now, wouldn't that just be beautiful? Yeah, that might have been the dream, but it's not very realistic. I think sometimes this is the dream that we sell to ourselves or to others who want to become part of a network marketing business. But that's not real. I'm really interested in seeing you have long-term sustainable success. That's why we've partnered and become part of the Healy family, is we believe in what you're doing, but we also want to set realistic expectations so that you understand what it takes to find the success, whatever that success looks like, okay? It is different probably for every person that is in this webinar today. So what's a little bit more realistic is this one. We have no idea what we should do with our life. And then maybe we found Healy, and then we went, this is it. We might struggle in school. We might feel passionate about something and then get bored. Maybe we want to try something different. Maybe we weren't successful. We lack the confidence needed. We might have worked in a job or 2 or 5 or 10, just hoping to find that life purpose. I remember when I worked before I started my business, and I might have told you this before, but I would cry. I would take the C train. So there was a train that went right into the inner city where I was working at a nice big high rise, and in an industry that I wasn't typically proud of, to be honest. And I would cry my way to work because I thought I was created for something greater than this. And here I am wasting my time, making rich people richer, and I'm not fulfilling my purpose. What I didn't realize was that was my university. That was my learning experience to do effectively what we do now at TAP. So even though life may not look the way we think, the journey prepares us for the destination. Sometimes we feel like we work so hard for everything and we can't catch a break. We feel too busy and overwhelmed. Anyone feel desperate need for a vacation right now? I'm there right now. I just said this before when we were waiting in the waiting room, waiting to let you folks in. I'm like, I need a vacation. I mean, it's exciting. Things are moving, and we've got a lot of things going on, but I need a vacation. Sometimes we're struggling to get momentum. Sometimes things are moving too fast. We've got momentum, but we can't slow things down, right? So that can go either way. And I've been on both sides. Sometimes we feel like we're spinning our wheels. We're stuck in the mud, right? So we're not getting anywhere. We're trying. We're not getting anywhere. We're making progress, but it's slow. How many times have I told my team, folks, this is happening. This is happening. 6 months down the road. Yeah, this is happening. This is happening. And it's not happening as fast as I thought it might. We want to retire. We continue working. It's probably a little more realistic. So, how do we overcome some of the internal obstacles when we're facing them? Well, we need to accept them as reality. This is really first, okay? Nobody's life is perfect. Do some people have more privilege than others? 100%. I need to address that right now, okay? So, when it comes to overcoming obstacles, to building resilience, to understanding that internal boulders will get in the way, some of us will struggle more than others just simply because of our privilege, simply because of how we showed up in the world and the opportunities that were presented to us. Okay. So, I want to address that right off the bat. But what I do want to address also is that boulders, obstacles come in everyone's path. They just might look differently to each of us, okay? Some will have more, some will have less. Some will be bigger, some will be smaller. But they will happen for all of us. And what we need to do is look at them as an opportunity for growth. We need to, when possible, prepare for them. And we need to lean into the things that we know will push us past them. You see a word on the screen. Discover and lean into the boosters that will help you overcome them. At TAP, we like to call the things that propel us forward past obstacles and boulders boosters. These are the things that help us and propel us past the hard things. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in just a second. What I do want to address before we jump into boulders is boulders don't have to hold you back. They can challenge us to learn and grow. They do strengthen us. Every time we have a boulder, every time we have an obstacle, and we learn a way to overcome them, that teaches us resilience. And our boulders give us rich experiences that we can share and learn from. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I have not met anyone wildly successful who has not had to overcome their fair share of boulders. So instead of allowing boulders to derail us, we lean into the boosters that propel us forward. All right. So what are boosters? Okay. Well, let's get there. We'll get there. All right. Understanding your boosters. What is a booster? Now, some of you may already know what helps propel you past hard things. I want you to put it in the chat. All right. What is that thing that you lean into that helps you get past hard things? What is it? Let's see. I'm opening up my chat now. I want to see what you say. My coffee is cold podcast. I love it, Jody. All right. Especially when you can pick them. Belief, Claire, yes. So external people that can build us up or give us new knowledge. Belief in ourselves. What are some other things? Will and grit. Grit is huge, Cindy. Huge. What are some others? Come on. You know what gets you past hard things. Let's remind ourselves of it. Vision, 100%. Education, family, inner circle, cheerleaders, positivity. My daughters all the time believe in me. Oh, our why, self-talk, riding my horse and being in nature, detaching from everything so I can hear and see better. Coffee. Here we go. For some of us. So Linda, are we talking about introspection? You said introvert, and I'm just wondering if that's what you meant, was like looking inside yourself. Okay, awesome. Yes, I love that. All right, so let's talk about those boosters for a minute, shall we? I love that, and I want you to think on it. So there was two things that we asked. Okay, speaking Psalm 32 and 8. All right, love it, Charlotte. We lean into our faith. All right. Introverts recharge by being alone. Thank you for giving me more. All right, Janice, we might need a translator on this one. Someone's going to help me out with that in just a second. Sometimes we have to use Google. Thought. All right. Thank you, Adriana. Our thoughts. Absolutely. Meditation, centering on God and our faith. Absolutely. These are all things that can help us. So there was two things. Remember how I said when you first came in, we wanted you to think about the obstacles that are getting in your way. All right. We've given you the tools to say whether they're internal or whether they're external. And now what I've done is I've got you thinking about what's going to get you past them. All right. Yes, we want you to use the tap obstacle wheel. It is a fantastic, very step-by-step process of what you could do to plan to get around it. Okay. But there's something else that absolutely helps. And it's very specific to some of our internal boulders. Okay. So what is a booster? Boosters are a set of skills, mindsets, and behaviors, as well as habits that help us overcome boulders. Boosters can fuel us for the journey. They can help us crush our boulders and propel us towards our goal. And we have to, if we're going to do this and be serious about overcoming some of the internal things that hold us back, we have to not only discover them, but we have to develop them. Okay. So what do they look like? Well, we've broken them up, okay, into mindsets. So we're going to go through that list in a second, into consistency, into community. And the very last one is about taking action. So the boosters are things that propel you towards success. They can be things like self-awareness, positive attitude, belief in yourself, belief in your company, and healing, clear purpose, perspective, letting go, recommitting, gratitude, consistency. Well, they can be things like staying focused, building habits, honing skills, keeping boundaries, obstacle planning, community building connections, and inviting accountability. And the very last one is taking action. Now, I'm just going to say that this is not a full list, okay? These are boosters. Sorry, these boosters are only the beginning. There are many more. You have probably already given some of them. You might be thinking some of them. These are the things that work for you, okay? Pausing and getting perspective, praying, going for a walk in nature, whatever it is that works for you to get focused and to really remember who you are and how much potential you have. That's what you lean into when you have an internal boulder, okay? When you have a clear picture in your mind of what you want and life throws a wrench in it, you have two options. You can cling to the past or you can adopt. Let's talk about that for just a second. We only have 3 minutes left, so I'll go quickly, okay? Letting go means being willing to allow life to carry you to a new place, even a deeper, more true rendition of self. Holding on means trying to push life into the place of your making, or be damned, all right? Listen, while it's good to have goals and plans, it's also necessary to acknowledge that life happens. And to be successful and enjoy the journey, It's important to learn when it's wise to keep fighting for your original goals and hopes and plans, and when it's time to pivot. I could not, in good faith, talk about overcoming obstacles, internal and external, without saying sometimes it's okay to let go. Okay. So this is going to be our parting part. Okay. This is probably going to go maybe about 5 minutes past the hour. I hope that you will stay and still tune in. I really think that I can't stop this without giving you this information. Okay. There's a lot to fit into this session. Listen, there's a time to fight and there's a time to let go. When you're not enjoying your journey, it may be because you're acting in ways that aren't congruent with your core values. Now, we had a conversation about our core values a few weeks back, or maybe a couple of months ago. To find that enjoyment, you may want to change your behaviors or change your situation or pivot a plan. So when do I do, how do I know? How do I know when I should stick to it and stay focused or when I should let go? Well, let's talk about it. It might be time to let go when you can't control it or when it's hurting you. So here are some examples. When a system you worked hard on creating just isn't working. When a team member you've spent hours and hours with just isn't getting it. When government rules change suddenly and it impacts your business. When someone you really care about isn't supportive and it's sabotaging you. When your goals have changed, and our goals do change sometimes, right? Or when something is clashing with your values. So we thought we'd put it in two different sections here. Holding on is hurting you when it feels like you're grasping so tight. When you're bargaining with yourself, you're dealing with overwhelming feelings of disappointment. Your heart is hurting. You're feeling bitterness, you're feeling anger, you're feeling trapped, you're wallowing in self-pity, you're blaming everyone and everyone around you. You're closed to change. You're feeling fear. Letting go is helping you when it feels like releasing, accepting, forgiveness, embracing hope, taking ownership, being open to the challenge, having courage and trusting. Okay. So that's about letting go. So let's talk about when should I hold on? You should hold on to a goal. When? Very first one, when it's a matter of health. So improving your nutrition, exercising, therapy, whatever it may be. Okay. Sorry, my dog's shaking. Giving a
Uh-oh. Shannon's internet is unstable.
the
There
goal is
she
coming from a
goes.
healthy. Am I losing internet again?
No, you're okay now. It came back.
Okay, good. The reward is truly worth the effort to you. It aligns with your values. And when you know in your heart that letting go is actually giving up. And we usually know that. Only
We've lost you again, Shannon, just temporarily. While we're waiting for Shannon to come back, I think she's almost done. What I am going to do is very quickly put in the chat how you can connect with Shannon outside of our session today. So feel free to take a quick look over here in the chat in this moment while her internet is coming back. Thanks everybody for your patience. And I'm going to pull up her slides as well, just to make sure. Yes, let's give me the laughing, crying emojis again. Now's the time. 1 second here. Oh, we did. We lost Shannon and her slides. So folks, hang tight just for 1 second. While Shannon is logging back in, I am going to put the link to the survey into the chat for you. And you know what? If you don't mind just taking 2 minutes to complete it while we're waiting for her to log in, that would be amazing. So here, let me do that right now. All right, folks. So go ahead, click on that link. Take 2 minutes just to let us know how you liked our session today. That would be wonderful. And while you're doing that, I will also put into the chat one more time where you can access the recordings from our previous sessions. I'm going to pull that up for you right now. Hey, Miss Shannon, you're okay. I've got everybody filling out the survey.
You know what? They can fill out the survey, but I would love to finish it. We can start
Yes, go
recording
ahead,
again.
please. Please do.
I'm
So I
almost
thought,
done.
just
I
in
don't know what's
case.
going on right now with
It's
the
okay.
the internet today. I apologize. Can you still see my screen?
No, we cannot.
Okay, so let me just do that again. We'll
No
finish
problem.
up this little piece. Oh, these are obstacles. This is exactly what we're talking about. What a perfect time for this to happen, to be honest.
It's okay.
Let's get in and let's share my screen with you. I had to reopen my screen though. All kind of crashed on me.
No problem.
For those of you who want to stick around, of course, stick around. If not, you can look at the video at another time. But I am opening it right now. Here we go. You see it?
Yeah, we can. There we go. Perfect.
I think
Thanks,
you
folks.
lost me somewhere around letting go hurts you when it feels like.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of right near the end there. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So I must have lost connection right at that time. So my apologies. Okay, shake it off, shake it off. 5 more minutes. Giving into disappointment and heartache, being impatient, giving into distractions, choosing self-pity, blaming others, not being willing to try, and giving into that fear. So what I want to encourage you is get good at self-reflection, discover what it is that you're holding on to, be honest about your thoughts and feelings, take personal responsibility. That's ownership, right? Find a safe person to share with and ask them for feedback. Accept that support. Embrace the truth. That's hard sometimes. Take a step back, get perspective, at least 5 feet from that obstacle, okay? Get some distance. Focus on what you can change, what's in your control. Take a chance. The rewards far outweigh the risk. Start taking action and practice gratitude. Now, that's for you. What about your team? Well, helping your team know when to let go, encourage frank discussions. Is holding on the right thing to do? Is it healthy? Is letting go the right choice? Foster a culture of inviting accountability and taking ownership. Cultivate optimism, a growth mindset without sacrificing being realistic. Okay. We want to encourage people to keep going through hard things, but we don't want them to feel trapped. That's not authentic and it's not going to be good for you or your business. Okay. Clarity and optimism go together. All right. So being positive and really clear. Build that resistance again, really understanding that resilience is another topic. It's another topic for another day. Okay. But here are some tips. All right. Get connected with a positive inner circle. Collect moments that matter. Okay. Moments that matter are those moments that make you feel accomplished, that make you feel proud, that that allow you to measure success along the way. Learn from your experiences, good, bad, or ugly. Have hope. The past is the past. It's okay. Adapting is easier when you learn to accept. All right. And then welcome that change. Practice self-care. Remember what I said. Look in the mirror. If that's what it takes, do it and be proactive. Don't ignore it. Deal with it head on. Again, measuring success is going to be something that you're going to have to do along the way. There's lots of things that we can do to measure our success and talk about measurement. And again, it's another conversation for another day because there's a big gamut of things that we can do to measure our progress. What I wanted to do right now before we end the call is just remember that we can't measure what we can't control. Okay. So we need to understand that the first step that leads to control and eventually improvement is measurement. Okay. So if you can't measure something, you can't understand it. If you can't understand it, can't control it. And if you can't control it, can't improve it. Right. So when it comes to you on your walk in addressing obstacles, overcoming challenges, finding ways to get over, under, around those boosters and lean into your, boulders and lean into your boosters. Make sure that you're measuring your progress along the way, even if it just means you've made a chip in the big old boulder. Okay. Make sure you celebrate it. Make sure that you remind yourself that you're getting through it. And those big things are going to take longer, and that's okay. I want to thank you for sticking with me. I know we've gone over today. I do apologize, but I hope that it was worth it. And I want you to be reminded that you have this massive amount of potential. Next month, we'll explore follow-up and the power of persistence, and that'll be on March 4th. So where are we on our journey? Holy smokes, just 3 left. But we do have some good news, okay? We're starting a new program called Rising Stars, Elevating Leadership Excellence. That'll be starting soon. You'll hear a little bit more about it. It will be invite only, okay? So we'll be talking about that in various communications in the next little while. All right. So I just wanted to say thanks so much. I appreciate the way that you showed up, and I hope that this was valuable to you. Go in, please fill out the survey. Those surveys are incredibly important to all of us at the corporate team and as part of the TAP team. This helps us know whether, you're picking up what we laid down, but also if you're finding it valuable. All right. This is incredibly important. Thanks so
Thank you
much, folks.
so much, Shannon. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording. Just a reminder, in the chat, I've put the link to the evaluation. I've also put a link for you to where you can connect with Shannon outside of our sessions today. And I've also put in there for you where you can view our previous recordings for these sessions. So please, we can't wait to see you again. So let us know what else we can be doing for you to make these sessions even better. We will see you next time.
Thanks,
And I'm going to go
everyone.
ahead and stop the recording. Thanks, everyone.